What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my hands-on and first impressions video of the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G 2023. So without further ado, let's get started. So the Moto G Stylus 5G 2023 was recently launched in June of 2023. Now, as the name of this phone does imply, this device is the successor to last year's G Stylus 5G 2022. And I will be comparing this phone to that phone in a separate video, so definitely stay tuned for that content. Now, this device is being offered factory unlocked, and you can also get it at a variety of different carriers. Now, I will be leaving a link in the video description to where you can check it out, and definitely take a look to see the most up-to-date pricing and availability. But this phone does feature an MSRP of $399, so it is meant to be more of a mid-range device. Now, before I get too far into things here, with the G Stylus 5G 2023, let's see what all comes included in the box. So here's the box. You can see the name of the phone right there. It does feature plastic-free packaging, which is pretty cool. So we get some literature. There's also a SIM card removal tool. There's also a USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. And then we're also getting a USB wall adapter. Now, this wall adapter is 10 watts, which is a bit unfortunate because this phone is compatible with 20-watt fast charging. So if you do want to recharge the phone at the full 20 watts, then you will have to get a different charger. That being said, though, I am at least glad that we are getting a charger included, because nowadays that's something that we don't always find. Now, with the Moto G Stylus 5G 2023, we have a very large 6.6-inch display. And from my first impressions, I really noticed how small these bezels are here in the phone. Now, the bezels unfortunately are not symmetrical. The top bezel is a little bit thicker, and then the bottom bezel is even thicker than that one, but the side bezels are really slim. And this phone actually features a screen-to-body ratio of 87.5%, so that's really good. So in general, when holding this phone, it feels very immersive and looking at the display, just because there's really not much bezel to go around. So in addition to this display being 6.6 inches, it is an IPS LCD display, and it features a 120Hz refresh rate. So a nice, smooth, premium refresh rate here with the phone. I remember it wasn't too long ago too that to get 120 Hz on a device, you'd have to go for a much more premium smartphone. So I'm glad that we're getting that here. Now, we did also get a refresh rate of 120 Hz with the predecessor to this phone, but again, I am glad to see that that's present here, as it is a really nice touch. Now, this display is 1080p. We're getting a PPI of 395. We're getting a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow but taller form factor, especially compared to 16:9 smartphones. And then, as I mentioned, we're getting a very impressive screen-to-body ratio of 87.5%. Now, up top here, we do have a hole punch for the front-facing camera, and that front camera is 16 megapixels. Now, stay tuned for my full review video of the Moto G Stylus 5G 2023, as I'll be showing you a variety of different photo and video samples from all the various cameras here on the phone. Now, internally with this device, we're getting 256 gigabytes of storage along with micro SD card expansion. So that's a very generous amount of storage. I feel like that's plenty, probably more than enough for the majority of people out there. But just in case you happen to need more space, then you can always add in a micro SD card to offload photos and videos, for example. But overall, for a phone that's just $399, it is really cool to see that we are getting so much internal space. Now, unfortunately, with the Moto G Stylus 5G 2023, there is no wireless charging, but we are getting a fingerprint sensor located on the power button. So let's give that a try right now. And you can see it's very fast and responsive. Let's try that one more time. There we go, so that works great. And in addition to the fingerprint sensor, we're also getting face unlock here with the phone. So I do appreciate we have multiple methods for accessing the device. Now on the back of the phone, we're getting a dual camera setup with a 50 megapixel main camera and an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. Now here's how things look on the camera app. This is the main rear camera right now. Then from here, we can go over to 0.5, which will take us to the ultra-wide camera, and with that, you can fit a lot more into a single frame. I'm definitely a big fan of the ultra-wide camera, and I do tend to use it quite a bit with any device that does have that. So whenever a phone doesn't have an ultra-wide camera, I definitely do find that to be disappointing. And then despite not having a macro camera, this phone does have a macro mode, so you can go right there to access that. Now I believe it's using the ultra wide camera to achieve this, but basically it is simulating as if we did actually have a dedicated macro camera. And from what I can see so far, it seems like the results actually work pretty well. So we're basically getting that ability without actually having the physical hardware for it. So I suppose in this situation, less is more. Now then we can also go over to portrait mode to get those nice blurred out backgrounds, and then flip it around to the front-facing camera, we can take portrait selfies. Now there's also a group selfie mode too, so it crops out a little bit. And then if you want to, you can also take standard selfies. So we're definitely getting a lot of different abilities when it comes to the various cameras here on the phone. Now in addition to that, video recording maxes out at 4K with the rear camera, and then 1080p with the front-facing camera. Now internally with this device, we're getting 6GB of RAM, paired up with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 processor. Now the 6 Gen 1 is a brand new processor. In fact, this is the first phone I've ever used with that processor, and I'm really excited to kind of experience it more and get a better feel for it. But from what I've heard, it's really supposed to be a major step forward. So I am expecting to get really good mid-range performance here with this device, and so far the phone does seem to be running very smoothly. Now I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 6, so what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores to see if this phone is faster or slower than one you currently have. But in general, I'm pretty happy with these scores. The single core score is 937 and the multi-core score is 2703. So these are really solid scores, especially for a phone in this segment. Now compared to a smartphone that's maybe double the price, of course, the performance here is not going to be nearly as good. But at the same time, for what it is, this phone will definitely take care of the needs of the majority of people out there. It's definitely plenty fast, so if you do a lot of social media, if you do a lot of text messaging and video chats and watching video content and browsing the web, you're going to be really happy with this device. Really only a small portion of smartphone users need a device more powerful than this one. So overall, unless you're doing really high demanding tasks, such as high performance gaming, or you're doing a lot of video editing on your phone, I feel like you're actually going to be very impressed with how quick the Moto G Stylus 5G 2023 is. Now internally with this phone, we are getting a very large 5,000 milliamp hour battery. Now as I mentioned earlier in the video, this phone is compatible with 20 watt fast charging. Unfortunately though, there is a 10 watt charger included. So if you do want to recharge the phone at that full 20 watts, you will have to get a charger separately. And I definitely do recommend taking advantage of that fast charging because it really will make your experience a lot better. Being able to recharge your phone double the speed as the charger included in the box really will make a big difference for you. And especially since the battery that we're getting here in the phone is so large as it is, the last thing you want to do is have to wait all day for your phone to recharge. Now the software here is Android 13, and it does feature some modifications from Motorola, but overall I'm a big fan of Motorola's approach towards Android. They pretty much take the best of stock Android and just kind of add in their own bonus features, but any features they add in or any changes they make definitely are not gimmicky, and they're all genuinely useful. And definitely stay tuned for my tips and tricks video for this phone, as I'll be showing you a variety of different functionalities and abilities that this phone has. Now another awesome thing about this device is that it features NFC. Now if you're not familiar with NFC, that's a technology used for mobile contactless payments to do things such as tap and pay. So if you are someone that likes to make payments with your phone, or if that's something that you're looking to do with a future device, then just know that you can do that here with this phone. So I know for me personally, I'm always using my phone to make tap and pay payments. For example, if I'm at the grocery store, I'll use my phone for that. And nowadays, I kind of rarely pull out my actual credit card. I usually just use my mobile device to make that payment. So whenever I'm testing out phones or using phones that don't have NFC, I do find myself to be very disappointed, and it is pretty inconvenient at this point. So I'm glad that that feature is present here with the phone. And speaking of features, the signature feature of the Moto G Stylus 5G 2023 definitely has to be the Stylus, which this phone is named after. Now the Stylus features a punch out, punch in design here, so it's very easy to access, but at the same time, the Stylus does kind of neatly tuck away, so if you don't find yourself needing it, maybe you don't need it for a week or two. It's not really annoying having it be in the phone. So it's not like there's any downsides with having the Stylus. So overall, I consider it nothing but a good thing. But you can see here's the Stylus. Overall, pretty basic Stylus, but it can do quite a bit. So you can see that when you pull the Stylus out, you get this pop-up menu with some various applications and different abilities. Of course, you can go into the Play Store and download all kinds of different third-party applications too. And you can even modify this panel here and place whatever apps you want there. But basically, you can go to the plus button there if you want to write a note. So we'll get that started. And then get this menu out of here. There we go. So smiley face, Kevin, which is my name. So compared to the S23 Ultra, the Stylus here is not nearly as sophisticated, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be. I think most people that are buying this phone just want kind of a basic stylus to help them with note-taking, navigating around the device, maybe signing some signatures on some documents, things like that. Definitely for all those various purposes, the Stylus works really well for it. But taking a closer look at the hardware of this device, on the left side of the phone, we have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card. Then on the right side, we have volume up, volume down, and then also the power button, which doubles as the fingerprint sensor. Then up top here, we have the noise canceling microphone, And then on the bottom of the device, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, so it is cool that there is still a headphone jack here with the phone. We have the USB-C port for charging and data transfer, microphone, and then the speaker. And then this phone does feature stereo audio, so you will be getting audio out of both the main speaker on the bottom, but then the earpiece as well, which is really nice. And then of course also the stylus right here. Then on the back of the phone, we have a matte finish, which I'm a big fan of because it doesn't really pick up any fingerprints. And then we have the dual camera setup and Motorola logo. Now this phone is made completely of plastic besides the display, which is made of glass. Now the phone does look and feel a lot more premium than technically it is with those materials, but I do recommend pairing this phone up with some sort of case because plastic can scratch pretty easily and you will want to keep your phone looking fresh as time goes on. But this concludes my hands-on and first impressions video of the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G 2023. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new today. But if you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. But this is Kevin, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and have a great rest of your day.